still so much more betting to go on. I know you probably bet on the Super Bowl, and boy, a lot of people were probably mad about the bets that they made.
Yes,
But
indeed.
but ultimately, there is still plenty of basketball to be played. So there's still much more to do, and plenty of basketball to be played with one Saddiq Bey now that everything has been worked out with the league office and with the Warriors and Gary Payton II. So the Hawks finally got their guy. And it's really exciting because although he is listed as a small forward officially, he really is kind of like a guard forward. So it's kind of exciting that he has that flexibility, because we're always
Mhm.
talking about stretching in that space of anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4. So excited for him. But and honestly, let's just be real. If we can get another defender on the wing for the Hawks, who's ever going to be mad about it? But it does also bring up the question, Jarvis, of, where do we think he might add value, if you will, to the team? And for me, I think it's just, again, that presence. So,
Mhm.
you know how a lot of times we look to Bogdan Bogdanovic, for example, and we say, okay, he gives that depth on the bench, right? He's kind
Right.
of your leader for that second unit. If DeJounte Murray isn't out there with the second unit, but the true leader on the second unit would be Bogdan Bogdanovic, and he gives you what? Instant offense. I feel like Saddiq Bey would be the same. He'd give you instant defense. And
Right.
so I really, really like that. And on a night like tonight is a great example. So you've got both John Collins and you have Bogdan Bogdanovic as questionable. They're dealing
Mhm.
with some soreness there. That's when a guy like Saddiq Bey could potentially play, even if he's not in the starting rotation, because they still may defer to an AJ Griffin, for example. Who knows? But
Right.
if he's not in the starting lineup, or even an Onyeka Okongwu, depending on who's out of that lineup, Saddiq Bey gives you that defense. He gives you the ability to put him in the starting lineup, or give you starting minutes, or give you some more defense off the bench should you have to put Double O or AJ Griffin in that starting lineup.
Yeah, I think, and that's what you want is from a rotational
Yes.
standpoint, have absolute flexibility, because we know
Mhm.
how these guys, they'll pop up on the injury report in a heartbeat, and I'm not saying that as an indictment against them, but I think that when you make trades for depth, purposes, which Landry Fields
Yes.
did, I got to give him a shout out to that.
Mhm.
Even bringing Bruno Fernando in, and I think
Yes.
that he's going to be a guy that's going to be valuable at some point
Mhm.
as the season rolls right along. So
Yes.
when you bring in a guy like Saddiq Bey, he's a guy who's a hustler. He's a guy that's one thing that when I saw, start looking at, different reports of people who cover him and everything, start
Mhm.
talking about the type of player that he is, because I haven't had a chance to really just watch him play like that,
Right.
obviously. I think that those one of the things that's kind of stood out to me. What you mentioned is from a defensive standpoint and just being a
Mhm.
hustler, a guy that just
Exactly.
been willing to do whatever
What
needs to in order to be able to contribute to getting those dubs night in and night out in the NBA. And we know
Mhm.
that you need multiple guys like that.
Right.
And only having one true wing in DeAndre Hunter, we know
Mhm.
how he is from an injury standpoint. So those
Right.
are the things that, like, a guy like Bay could be a guy that really could be a solid contributor for him, especially like you said, on a night like this, going up against
Mhm.
the Charlotte Hornets.
Yes. And since everyone always wants to look back at one of the things that made the Hawks the most successful when they went on that Eastern Conference Finals run, it was depth. It was depth at any given time. Remember when Trey went out, there was a gasp, but then you just inserted Lou Williams. And of course, Lou Williams had the game of his life. Or you look back at how they got out of the second round and ended up beating the Sixers in game 7. Well, Kevin Herter did that for him. So
Right.
if you can get back to that point in place where you have a few more pieces, like you said, Saddiq Bey is one of those pieces, but also Bruno Fernando would be another piece where you can have that depth. Or if you're having a night where the starters are off, then that's another example. So in addition to the injury, sometimes this starting rotation just does not operate as a fully functional starting rotation. So when
Mhm.
you have guys like that who can come in and give a spark, especially a spark on defense, I'll take it. And not for nothing, you can get some good shots here and there. Not saying that
Yeah.
Saddiq Bey can't shoot the ball, but really and truly, if you think about, why he's there, that would be the primary reason, because you want and need somebody who can go in at a moment's notice and, hey, look, if Double O is in foul trouble, or if JC is in foul trouble, or you go back and Dre, who has been in foul trouble a lot of late.
Yes.
You at least have somebody who can come in and do what they need to do, and somebody who does shoot a solid 40% from the field. So yeah, I like that acquisition. And for you and I being two people who had the opportunity to see Bruno Fernando when he was drafted,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what he's going to be about this second iteration of him. I hear that from those who covered him up front and up close, that he's done a yeoman's job of getting a bit better. Now, listen, normally I would say, hey, have your Built Bar ready for the Hawks when they take on the Hornets, because for whatever reason, the Hornets are literally the last team in
Check out
the
the number.
Eastern Conference, the last team, period. And yet the Hawks have literally lost to them twice. So that's another thing, Jarvis, that if we have someone on the perimeter who does not mind going out to the perimeter and defending like Bey does, then that gives the Hawks a chance to get a split of the series. But I don't think that should really stress you out, because I think that they're in good position to win tonight. But you might have been stressed out a little last night, especially if you were an Eagles fan. It would have been a perfect time for you to have a Built Bar, because you would have needed that chocolate in your life if you were like me and you were hoping Eagles fly, and they didn't fly at the end. You needed a Built Bar. 100% real chocolate.
Shout out to Sky.
Right. Shout out. Right. And I said, fly, Eagles, fly, buy, Eagles, buy. And when it came time to say buy, Eagles, buy, you probably just wanted to pick up your Built Bar, because, hey, a pick-me-up of 17 grams of protein, that's what you want. 100% real chocolate, some different flavors, churro and peanut butter brownie, coconut almond. I'm an almond fan, so that kind of appeals to me. And if you needed to get out of the house because you just were dumbfounded by what happened to your Eagles, then hey, you could have gone to your local Walmart, and you can still go today, because I'm sure you got a little Super Bowl hangover. Go today. And those are our Eagles fans who we know are in Atlanta, because we have a whole bunch of them here, right, Jarvis? So you guys can still go to your local Walmart and get your Built Bar. You can also go to Sam's Club and get your Built Bar. And it's like a cheat code, because hey, it's only 130 calories and 4 grams. So don't forget, Walmart, Sam's Club, or even in person, you can go to Built, or online rather, go to built.com and order those bars and drown away your sorrows. We feel you. And hey, Chiefs fans, if you guys in Chiefs Kingdom want to just celebrate, go get yourself some bars too and eat up, because I'm sure you guys will be celebrating for the next year.